All right, guys, welcome back into the fourth edition of the betting podcast. We have the WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational, and then we're also going to be talking about the Barracuda Championship a little bit as well. Just going over the two events. The WGC is obviously a no-cut event. It is the top players in the world coming together to play a tournament, and then you got the Barracuda Championship, which is a cut event, and it's a little bit different scoring format. I think that's why DraftKings doesn't have any contests available. But they also do have their sportsbook going this week for that, so we'll touch on both of those. Hazy, real quick, before we get into last week's recap, what's harder to win, a WGC event or a normal full tournament field event?
With Tiger in the field or without? Because when Tiger was at the prime of his career,
exactly.
I think it was something like he's won 18. He's won like one more WGC than everyone else combined in this week's field or something. I think he has 18 and everyone else 17.
That's what. Yep.
I don't know, but man, this field's loaded, man. I would honestly say a WGC. Because at the PGA Championship next week, you're gonna have those like 30 professionals who are just bums that are just gonna miss the cut. Maybe one or two are gonna make it, and then you're gonna have like Rich Beam, who's just throw him in there. Yeah, he's not like Brooks said last year, and it's so accurate that you already cut the field in half because they're gonna crumble. Then you cut those people in half, and then when you get to it, there's only like maybe 5 or 10 guys that realistically have a chance to win a major. You look at the WGC field this week, there's easily a dozen that you could say even 15, upwards of 20 that I could make a case for them to win this week.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially with the majors side of it. It's so easy to kind of narrow down which 40 or so players you should be on. Yeah. The only thing I would say is that sometimes with more players, there's a little bit more random finishes. I guess we can echo that with last week where Michael Thompson, sorry. I was at my bachelor party, so I wasn't, paying attention too much with that.
You weren't all there.
Yeah, exactly. But it was kind of more of a random finish. That guy, he showed some upside a little bit recently, but our boy Richie Rowanski almost came through with a, deep win, and then Tony Finau, top 3 finish. Overall last week was one of the best advice weeks I think I might have ever had that didn't result in a huge profit, which was kind of weird because Ron kind of what was going to happen last week. It just didn't come together. I guess you could imagined it coming together like it typically would with being that spot on. It was just kind of a strange week.
Yeah, man, and I was saying how usually it's in the 20 to 60 to range, 60 to 1 that they're going to win the event, and Michael Thompson I think was 125 to 1 maybe at the beginning of the term. I'm not exactly sure. And it's besides the RBC Heritage where he played well, that was the only event since the restart that he's played well in. And I think the bigger concern, to be honest with you, and now listen, I like Tony Finau. I hope he wins, but this week just showed to me that I'm not going to bet him again because the fact that he couldn't beat this field again on a Sunday is it's kind of demoralizing to have him so talented to not be able to get it done against Michael Thompson and Richie Rowanski and all these other bums. So it's a little disheartening, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, still a top 10 finish. Maybe you just bet him to top 10 instead because in those events where he stands out. Dude, I really thought Rowanski was going to give us a wire-to-wire victory. That would have been pretty sweet there. But also Harris English, top 20 Harris English. He got it done for us there. That was kind of another.
Second round was he was on fire, especially in the afternoon as well.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising, right? There were some weird rounds I remember seeing. I'm like, what? It's windy and you're going off? Yeah. He was one of those. But this week, it is a little bit different week. Obviously, we can't really go too deep. There's going to be no top 40 bets that we can touch on, or are there? I don't know what the odds on that would be. But yeah, I mean, we can just get it kicked off. I know there's pretty much 12 players that are great chances to win. Do you want to start off and maybe touch on 2 or 3 guys that you like quite a bit?
Yeah, right away, the first couple that I like are Morikawa and Koepka. I mean, I said I'm not a huge Koepka fan, and I'm going to save it for the majors, but he did win here last year. His game does seem to be rounding into form. I think he was first or second in strokes gained tee to green last week and dead last in putting. I think he lost over 5 or 6 strokes putting last week. He's won here before, and it seems to be that the knee is clearing up a little bit. I know no one really thought it was an issue because he got surgery done in the offseason. And then Colin Morikawa, this is going to be a golf course. Again, just like last week, there's a lot of water. Your ball striking is going to need to be top notch, and that just describes Colin Morikawa's game to a T, and you're going to get both of those guys. Colin Morikawa is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's the 8th favorite, betting favorite this week. Guys like Schauffele, Webb Simpson, Rory McIlroy, like, in what world are they substantially that much better than Colin Morikawa this week, or just in general? I don't see it. Like, consistency-wise, he's just one of the best on tour. And again, Brooks Koepka at 29-1, another guy that's just like, he shouldn't be that price. I get how he's playing, but he's trending upwards. And we touched on this a couple weeks ago with John Rahm. I said that the reason why they're the best players in the world is because their bad golf doesn't last very long. And that's going to be the same with Brooks Koepka. Like, he's going to turn it around, and I could definitely see it this week.
Yeah, this would be the exact like Brooks Koepka week after a horrible week last week, gearing up for the PGA Championship to go on and do well in this event. I think we're kind of having a similar theme this week. It's like, don't mess around with the shorter odds. Pretty much anyone can win this event. I kind of like Ricky Fowler this week, just because he's a guy that goes out and scores. I know he has had some really bad rounds here and there, but I think it's just like small changes in his new swing, which we've seen that actually happen like from round to round. His last event, he shot like an 81 and then came back and shot a 68. I mean, the dude's night and day with his golf game right now, but if it's going to be on and we know we get him for 4 rounds, he's definitely a guy that can go out and shoot low. Even if he has one horrible round, we can definitely see him going off and, doing pretty well. It's just a longer shot odd bet that I like, quite a bit.
Yeah, man, at 50-1. And it's like, after he won, I think it was a 2019 Waste Management. Other than that, Ricky Fowler has essentially been the same golfer for the past year and a half, 2 years. But for the longest time, they were pricing him like he was this top elite golfer, and it's like he's not. And yeah, at 30-1, he's a bad bet, but at 50-1, especially in a shorter field, and like you said, he's had 9 over first rounds and then missed the cut by 1. Like he's battled back, and he's eventually gonna figure it out. He's just too good to, to struggle all the time like he's going to. Like, I'm not saying he's going to go and win for sure, but instead of having a 9 over first round and coming back with a 65, like, why can't he go 69-65 and be in the final group? Like,
right.
Yeah. Like, Ricky Fowler, for crying out loud. The man came top 5 in all 4 majors one year. Like, and at 50-1, he's priced appropriately. Like, I'm sorry. 50-1 Ricky Fowler or 46-1 Billy Horschel.
I don't get that. I don't get it.
And even 46-1, 41-1 Jason Day. So the guy had 2 good events at his home course, and he even admitted his back is at any given moment can just completely blow up on him. Yeah. And those 2 guys are priced lower than Ricky Fowler? Come on, get out of here.
So I will say I think those 2 do have a little bit more likelihood of like top 10ing this week. But I just don't see either of those 2 winning this week. It's like, if we're going to get good Ricky where he doesn't have that one horrible round, yeah, he's definitely going to have a good shot at going on and winning. And we know Ricky, when he is like in contention, there's like just a slight difference in his mindset. You can just kind of see it when you're watching him on live TV. He's like one of the few golfers where it's like, oh, he's actually going for it. Okay, this will be fun to watch. And like you said, it's like, yeah, there are some golfers this week where if you want to top 10 bet them, go ahead and top 10 them. Billy Horschel, Jason Day, those guys are definitely just juiced up a little bit too much for their likelihood to win. So I agree there. Really, for me, I don't, like Terrell Haddon, Webb Simpson, Daniel Berger. I really like all those 3. They're great stat fits. They should really go out and play well at this course. Webb obviously finished second here last year. Daniel Berger won it when it was the full tournament field event. And that's kind of why I asked you the question earlier as well. It's like, was Berger's wins more impressive than, say, someone like Brooks Koepka's win last year? And it just kind of depends on how everyone else is playing in the WGC events too. But all 3 of those guys, I think, are great stat fits and, great plays. I just don't really like their odds. You got Daniel Berger, I'm seeing 30-1, Xander 20-1, and Terrell Hatton 22-1. It's like, yeah, if you think they're going to win, bet that, but they're just not the best odds like we would want to see this week.
Yeah, man, I agree. And it's just like, I like Daniel Berger just for the fact that he's won here before, and he's played well. And like I said last week, he was 300-3 at the Memorial and then just fell off the map. But like, Xander Schauffele, like, has he shown us anything in the last 2 weeks? Like, look, mentally, like I said, and I'm going to bet him at the PGA, to be 8 over after 10 holes and then to come back like he did. Yeah, like I like that a lot. But that doesn't justify for him to be at 20-1. Tyrrell Hatton as well. Like, okay, he won the Arnold Palmer and he had a couple good events coming back since the restart. But it's Tyrrell Hatton, for fuck's sakes. Like, let's slow our roll a little bit. And another guy I like yeah. So I like Morikawa, Koepka, Fowler. I like Berger, and I like Gary Woodland at 46-1 this week. Another guy who strikes the hell out of the golf ball and is putting. Again, sometimes it's hard to get out of your head. Like, even for me, that's like Gary Woodland's a good putter, but he's a fucking good putter.
He is.
And it's like, okay, again, a guy at 46-1 in this field. He was not 46-1 at a full field event where there's more guys that could win, and this course again suits his game. So I really like. And then, like, again, it's going to be in the maybe Thomas goes out and win or Rahm goes out and win, whatever. You wouldn't be surprised at 12-1, but this is probably going to be another 20 to 60-1 range winner, where you could be like, yep, totally see that.
Yeah, the thing I like about like Jon Rahm and Justin Thomas from like just like a lineup standpoint for DraftKings is that they're most likely going to top 10, probably top 5. Obviously, it's really hard to win a WGC event like this where there's the top players in the world. So why bet them at those odds? Just it's less likely. I will say, you really touched on a point that I've been noticing kind of this week is that people are really favoring course history this week, which is kind of crazy. It's a WGC event, especially last year with looking at course history. Some of these guys, they just show up, they don't have it that week, they just don't really care to try that much. Where if you're in contention, yeah, sure, you're gonna go on try to win it, but if you don't have it that week, golfers know it, they're not really gonna grind over some putts and shots. So like Gary Woodland last year finished 55. Sure, he didn't have it last year. Who's to say that I have him as a top 10 staff hit. Who's to say that he can't go out and play well? And he only has those reduced odds this week because he finished 55th here last year. So I agree with that approach.
Yeah, and it's like the FedEx St. Jude setup is completely different than the WGC setup. It just is. Now, this year, I don't know in terms of COVID and how much people they can have on the course, working on blah, blah. I'm sure it's still going to be it's still going to be in the same condition as last year, but it's 100% harder now than it is to win the FedEx St. Jude. So course history, like we said for last year's 3M Open, like it was the second year of the event. Like you can only rely on course history so much.
Dude.
And I think it's the same this week. Like, yeah, okay, exactly. Gary Woodland 55th last year, but like, so what? He won the fucking U.S. Open last year.
Yeah.
Like, guys, come on. Like, really? He won the U.S. Open the month before. Like, come on.
He's a guy where if you look at his stats too, it just seems like he's due to win. But dude, talking about last week too, it's like we talked about how like putting, it's only been 1 year sample size. A lot of the people that were on the top 10 or right around the trying to win were great putters last week. So it's just kind of funny.
Yep, how things switch.
Yeah, exactly.
At least we won't have to worry about having a 6-6 lineup this week. That'll be nice.
Oh, I know. Dude, it was like 1% though. I mean, you knew it was gonna happen. So
yeah.
It's like.
I was telling you just before we started, like, yeah, it's the 1 week where if you faded everyone at the top, you would have won a shit ton of money because every other tournament this year, since the restart, the guys at the top have been right there. Mm-hmm. It's the one time.
And, for me, if Paul Casey, it's like the second straight week with Paul Casey or Lucas Glover make the cut. The week before that was if Daniel Berger made the cut, it would have been a huge week where that's kind of the beauty of PGA DFS, I guess. But also kind of why you want to bet sometimes because you don't have to grind out the cuts.
For sure.
So there are two guys lower down that I do like quite a bit, but I just don't see them winning. It's like kind of like 2 weeks ago where there's no point in betting lower odds because most likely they're not going to win. I just think compared to what their odds are saying and kind of what their stats and just overall fit for this week, I like them, and that's Chez Reavie, Nick Taylor, deeper odds for us this week. Like I said, I don't think that they're going to go out and win, but maybe if you want to bet them to top 10, I could definitely see that, and that'd kind of be the approach that I would go with this week.
Yeah, man. If I could pick a guy that's over 100-1 and, strokes gained tee to green, he's 7th, which I think is going to be, like, important this week, total putting 70th. He has been putting better. His game a couple of years ago was top-notch and kind of fell off, but we've seen him at the Rocket Mortgage be up there and a couple other events. I like Matt Wallace this week if you want a long shot at 110-1. I know I'm going to play him on DraftKings as well. It's just every time you look at the leaderboard, you see Matt Wallace there, and it's like, yeah, I understand. There's probably a couple chip ins and a couple whatever, but like he won a he was a really good player in the European Tour. I think he was like a fringe rider cupper. So it's like he has that capability. And at 110 to 1 in a short field again, and the guy we've seen at the top of the leaderboard who has some good stats for this golf course, I think it's worth a flyer.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything wrong with that pick. That's the problem with this week is like you could almost make an argument for anyone in the field. So, these deeper odd shots really do make sense. I do have a question for you. So we got Phil Mickelson and Mackenzie Hughes and Cameron Champ, all guys that can definitely go on and score. They're not the best at bogey avoidance, but I don't know. We've been able to see it plenty of Phil Mickelson rounds this year with the future coverage. The dude goes low and he's like been tied for the lead, going into like the back nine, and then he like falls apart to like where he's only like T50. There's been a bunch of rounds like that for Phil. I know Mackenzie Hughes is a guy that's been able to go low quite a bit, and so is Cameron Champ. Any thoughts on those three specifically potentially winning it?
I don't
with
know
4
about
rounds.
But if I had to rank those guys, I would be like Mickelson, Hughes, and Champ, just in terms of a birdie on DraftKings is 3 points, a bogey is half a point. Phil Mickelson is going to shoot even par with 6 birdies and 6 bogeys. We know that, but it's a lot better than someone shooting 2 under with 3 birdies and a bogey. So you lose that bogey-free round, no 3 birdie in a row streak. Like Phil Mickelson is going to get you a lot of DraftKings points, and we've seen him play. I'm pretty sure he's won a FedEx St. Jude before on this golf course.
Yeah, so I'll pull up his course history.
I'm pretty sure. And it's like, again, a guy who, if like at the Travelers, the first 2 rounds he was hitting it semi good off the tee,
Right.
like not out of bounds, and he scored well. And then on the weekend, he couldn't drive the ball to save his life, and we saw what happened. So if you can drive the ball just okay, we know he's going to make a lot of birdies. And we know Mackenzie Hughes, if there's a putt over 45 feet, he's the guy you want on the future tour to make that putt because he just seems to be making long putts all the time. So I would go Mickelson, Hughes, and then Champ because I just trust Mickelson in terms of no cut. So he's gonna make a shit ton of birdies. And we know if Mickelson's out of contention, which he probably will be, he's gonna be attacking every pin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you kind of echoed the point there. It's like, no cut events. You get 4 rounds out of these guys that can go and score. Maybe they outproduce their salary or odds a little bit better. All these guys that we mentioned, lower down, you can bet them on top 10 if you don't feel comfortable betting them to win. But I have a weird, sneaky feeling about Phil this week. I don't know what it is, but you look at his course history, you mentioned it, 57th year last year, and then 3 straight top 12 finishes at this course. So really not bad for course history. He has shown that he can go out and play well at this course. I do have one other flyer that I've gotten on a little bit more as it's went on, but I'll let you go ahead, and if you have any other ones, you can go first.
I thought you were going to say Eric Royan, your favorite golfer there. Who
most betted on golfer last week. See, that's what I'm talking about.
He was at 50 to 1 to start the week, and he got bet down to 36 to 1.
Horrible. Just horrible last week for those people that were doing that. I didn't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. But yeah, I like Phil Mickelson, and it's kind of weird. Like he was 140 to 1 at the Travelers. He's 126 to 1 this week. So like, if you kind of believe in that stuff, like it's kind of around the same price point. Again, I think I was on him a couple weeks too early. Maybe you just need some competitive rounds. But again, a top 25, top 30 golf in the world, Bernd Wiesberger, like he had a really good. I think he was 2 over on Thursday, and then shot 5 under on Friday, and a guy that seems to be maybe rounding into some form. And again, shorter field, top 30 player in the world, 140 to 1. I could, you could justify that a lot of hell more than slashing the odds by a third and betting Billy Horschel. So
yeah, and so I made this point 3 weeks ago or so. These guys that are coming overseas, I just want to. They're eventually going to put it together, and then that's when you want to attack them. So, I think you might be jumping the gun early a week for him, but at these odds this week, I completely get it. I mean, it makes sense. And if he has another good week this week, he's going to be a nice value play probably next week. Is he in the event next week? He should be, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's like you almost wish he doesn't have that good enough week this week because then next week he could probably pop off and it's like, yep, that's a 3.5% owned guy or whatever the case may be.
Same thing with, I want Xander and Ricky to play well enough to show us enough that we can trust them, but not to go out and dominate,
Yeah.
But so my last guy, so it's going to be Brent Snedeker. I got him at 175 to 1 on DraftKings. It's not a play that I actually love a ton, but I kind of.
Native.
Is he?
Yep.
Okay. Well, see, I always say to people Billy Horschel and Brent Snedeker are kind of like a very similar player where you just kind of play the one that's cheaper. And obviously, his odds are a lot better than Billy Horschel's. You look at his course history, 27th year last year, 6th the year before that. And sure, his like total driving, ball striking is not that good, but everything else is pretty much there. His strokes gained total is top 50. His total putting is top 50. His birdie to bogey and bogey avoidance are both top 20 as well. So, those are kind of key stats that you need to look at this week. And he's a guy that's shown that he can play well at this course. Obviously, his recent form is just pure trash, but at those odds, for kind of just a veteran guy that, should be able to figure it out, I don't mind it.
I trust this putter a lot of hell more than fucking Horschel's, I'll tell you that much. He puts the hell out of the golf ball, and that's another guy. We've said it multiple times, like, if a guy can just start rolling in some putts, like, Snedeker, I think he's been kind of the same player, like maybe a little bit worse, something negligible, but he just hasn't putted as well as he has in years past.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But maybe coming back home, some more familiarity with the surroundings, he might pop off. And then it's like, okay, yep. And then you feel like an idiot because it's like, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. And that's pretty much exactly. It's one of those ones where it's like, those are nice odds. This is a play that we could easily see doing well.
I had him at the was it 2018? What's the one that I keep forgetting in Tampa? Valspar, where Tiger almost won his first event again, and it was like I had him and Snedeker as my two bets, and Snedeker just absolutely just parachuted, jumped off a cliff on Saturday. I think it was shot like 7 over, whatever. That was the last time we've really seen him in contention.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, I'm sure he's had a couple of like decent finishes here and there this season, but yeah, it's really not been anything great at all. But maybe he turns it around this week. Obviously, these are lower shot odds for a reason.
Exactly. For sure. That's exactly the point.
I mean, so there are a couple of matchups that kind of caught my eye, but really what I want to talk about, I don't know if you have that on Bet365, but there are a couple of group matchups that I kind of decently liked on DraftKings. But I also do have to say a big FU to DK. There's Group B. It's between Xander, Daniel Berger, Terrell Hatton, Colin Morikawa, and Webb Simpson. Like, that's just a big FU. Those guys are all good contention to possibly win.
The only difference I have in that group, it's Group B is literally the same, except the only difference is there's no Morikawa. It's Matsuyama instead.
Oh, so just don't play Matsuyama.
Man, Group C, though, for me, Group C on Bet365 is DJ, Captain America, Brooks Koepka, Tony Finau, Jason Day. Like, I like Brooks Koepka 4.5 to 1. Like,
that's not bad.
Or even look at this group, Group D. This is a bigger joke. You got Fowler, Woodland, Horschel, Answer, and Spieth. I like Fowler and Woodland.
So, what are your thoughts on that? Betting two of them.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Because you're for sure going to break even.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. The one I'm seeing right now is a Group F. You got Spieth, Casey, Kuchar, Leishman, and Poulter. I kind of think that Casey is going to go ultimate troll mode like he has done his whole career and just have a solid week this week.
Man, what an ugly group that is to make a
right?
bet on. Like, honestly, like,
exactly. But you're getting better odds, so
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But Casey's, if this again, like I just mentioned, if it's not the Valspar, then Casey or the Shell Houston, then it's just like not about it.
I'm glad, though. I'm glad he's not, like, tricking us into playing him for the PGA Championship. Like, if he would have made the last two cuts, it's like, oh, well, now we got to play him because he's checking all the boxes.
I would not be surprised if I throw him in a PGA Championship lineup, honestly. No, he's going to play well because this, and this, and just, like, misses the cut. It's like, yep.
He's a great ball striker. Great total driver.
There's no worse feeling, though, like, having a guy 6 over with, like, 9 holes to go and the cut's at 2 under, and it's like, yep, I'm at the top of the leaderboard right now, but in about 2.5 hours, my chances are just completely gone. There's no worse.
Lucas Glover last week.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So do you want to transition into the Barracuda, and maybe you can touch on the PGA a little bit as well? I mean, it's kind of a quicker podcast this week, obviously, with the shortened players.
The only thing I like about the Barracuda is that it's in a nice area.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, I saw his tweet, and he screwed me at the Turkish Airlines Open, but Matthias Schwab he was one of the best guys last week on tee to green, and it all comes down to the short game. I was telling you again, I was playing golf earlier today, and must have been negative 18, like honestly, 5 over after 3 with no missed fairways and 1 missed green. Like just
Oh, jeez, that's yep.
Yeah, just absolutely incredible. So that's like that's like Schwab almost, is like, if you can just putt it okay. Like again, Russell Henley is a favorite at 21-1. Like, come on.
Got Ryan Moore on DK, but yeah.
Yeah, you just close your eyes and throw a dart, and you couldn't go wrong that way. But again, a guy at 34-1, like, do I like Burns or Noren or Kitayama? Like, no, I kind of like Schwab at 34-1. It seems pretty good to me in this field.
I got you. That's not bad. It's a scoring contest for that tournament, and he's a guy that obviously popped a little bit last week, and he's a guy that could continue that this week. But speaking of golfing, just quick story time. So for the bachelor party, we did like just a normal golf event. We started out with best ball and then scramble. So best score on the front 9. Started out with birdie, like right down the middle, 10-foot putt, make a birdie. I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Was it all you though, or no?
Yeah, that was all me. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the front 9, it was just whoever had the best score, you take that. Yeah. And then pretty much 12 straight holes in a row, we had a chance for birdie and could not make a single freaking birdie putt. It was the most painful thing ever, and it's just like, yep, putting matters. Short game matters. Very frustrating. But
at the DFS Open where we were at earlier this year, our group started off with a birdie on a pretty difficult par 3. Like, our last guy just put it right in. Lots of speed, though, like tons of speed, but right in the middle. It was like, we got a par 5 next. We're feeling good.
Ready to go.
Like good drives, everything, and then just par, and it just was downhill from there.
It's the worst. It's the worst. I hate, honestly, birding the first hole and then just playing like ass after that. But getting back to the Barracuda, so I'm looking at Cameron Davis kind of for the same reasons that you echoed about Schwab there. I got him at plus 45-1 on DraftKings. He's a guy that can definitely go on and score. I don't mind that. But our guy last week, Richie Rowanski, he's at 35-1. Obviously, he's been showing some good form. I do expect him to regress a little bit, but this is an easier field event. He could easily go on and play well. And then I got 2 others here. Scott Stallings, once again, made the cut.
Yep, and had a really good second round.
Yep, exactly. And then Will Gordon, I don't mind as well, plus 55-1. Not horrible. There are some deeper odds guys that I don't mind as well. I'll say those if you don't have any other ones, because I know it's kind of a bad week.
Yeah, no. This is the kind of like the 3M Open last week where you just want to limit your exposure a little bit. And but Will Gordon, best caddy on the PGA Tour.
Why is that? I didn't see that.
Don Donatello, you remember him from the Big Break?
No, I don't. I only watched like one season of the Big Break, and that was with like Shank.
Yeah. He was at like, I think he was on the second season. I want to say like 04 or something like that. But yeah, he was one of their. He was kind of like a character on that show, so he was kind of not liked, but
they should
come full circle sometimes.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. They should come out with that on like Netflix or like Hulu or something. I would definitely binge watch that show. That's a great show.
Where are they now?
Yeah.
A couple PGA Tour winners, Finau and Wesley Bryan. I think they were on the same show as well, which is incredible to me.
Yeah, didn't you say Richie Rowanski was on it too?
Rowanski won the Big Break, yep.
So
PGA National, so that's a pretty good place to win it.
Yeah, for sure. So we got Tim Wilkinson, 125-1, and he's a guy that is a good staff fit for this course, and he made the cut last week, right? See, I'm not as sharp on these like lower name guys as I was, typically. I'm just because I didn't watch it. I wasn't as like into it last week, just because I had my cash build that was like, oh, this is an easy week to cash and I'm good to go. And I didn't have like any GPPs that had any chance of winning. So it's just kind of like solid week. Let's move on to the next week. Yep. But yeah, I like Tim Wilkinson at those odds. And then
Tim Wilkinson is going to be our new favorite guy. We got to get him on the podcast.
Right. I mean,
talk about you every week, Tim. You got to come on.
We're building you a fan base.
in Midwest America, Tim. Come on.
Yes. And then Seamus Power, kind of the same thing, 175-1. Guy that let us down last week. Maybe he can bounce back and have a good week this week.
One round, really, though.
Exactly. One horrible round. So those guys that haven't played a ton, like Power, it's kind of expected where they are kind of streaky like that.
This would be another week where you see 150 to one guy win, and you're like, yep.
Exactly.
Just like 3 open.
No, yeah, exactly. So both this week and last week we touched on it. Don't play too much. Kind of save it for the PGA Championship. We're going to get some really nice juiced up odds. Do you want to talk about the PGA Championship a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, betting tip, I guess, more so for the PGA Championship. Like, if you really like a guy, like, let's say, I know Xander's not a great bet.
Not right now. When he does bad next week, you hope not.
You used to be able to parlay guys to, like, win, this week and next week. But let's say you think Xander's going to have a really good week this week, and you see I think he's 34-1 next week. Like, I would say get on these guys now because their odds aren't going to get better. We know this. So if Xander top fives, he's not going to be 34-1. We know Tiger's going to be Tiger no matter what. We saw what happened to Rahm's number when he won the Memorial, and that was a few weeks out. So it's just going to happen. So if you really like a guy, if you like Fowler, I think he's 50-1 at the PGA as well. I mean, get on him now because, again, like we were talking about earlier, if he plays well, which we expect him to do and wouldn't be surprised, that number's going to go down to 35, and then you're going to be like, Ricky at 35, like really?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I completely agree with that, and that would actually be one I'd probably place a little bit of units on this week just because, the stuff you just echoed. He's really close to, getting his game together, and if it comes together this week, he could really be in line for a great week next week.
I was telling you last week too, I was like this, I honestly feel like, and I'm sure you could probably get stats to back this up, and for next week, I'll look it up, but it's like, West Coast major, man, West Coast winner. Besides Gary last year, but he's like Kansas. I mean, not West, but it's not East either. I mean, you're going to get Tiger won at Torrey. Morikawa's from California. Fowler's from California. Woods. Like, I could totally see those guys. Shoffley's from California. Like, I honestly believe that a West Coast guy is going to win it next week. I just really do.
It always does help somewhat, but, I mean, there are certain players where, I guess, like Wooden last year, where he just fits that course so much that, yeah, you're going to play him a little bit.
You grew up playing on Poana. It's completely like you get a lot of guys who make a really good putt and it just breaks for random reasons. Yeah. That could get to you, and other guys just get right par for the course.
Used to it. Yep, exactly. That's true. Those just little mental victories, or I guess mental losses, I guess, where you don't have them. I'm looking at it, dude. Like, honestly, it's kind of the same thing for me right now. Hatton has decent odds, 45-1. Daniel Berger has solid odds, 50-1, but I don't expect Berger to win. I don't. Maybe like a top 10 you could bet him on. Any long shot bets that you can see right now that you'd possibly bet on?
Oh, man. Go down here. A Burn, maybe, like we just talked about, 150-1. Again, it's a top 30 player in the world. Like, how can you go wrong betting it? Like, I really don't understand. Schwartzel, he said something in an interview or on Twitter about his game coming around, and you look at his stats, it was like, yeah, miscut, tied for 50th miscut. It's like, yeah, okay, bud. But it's like, it did. It kind of came together last week, and another guy who kind of fluked the major. I mean, but whatever, still a major winner. And then maybe Wallace or Willett at 110-1. Both their games are trending in the right direction. Yeah.
So one is sticking out to me right now, and if he has a good week this week, it's gonna completely flip. Ches Reavie, I got him at. Let me look.
You love Ches Reavie.
200. Well, he's just trending in the right direction. His stats are getting progressively better as well. If he does well, if he gets a top 15 next week, those odds are not going to be the same as they are right now. So I mean, it might be worth to throw a little bit on, and maybe you can cash out early if he does well. I mean, he was in contention for the U.S. Open last year.
Yeah, top 6 finish. Even at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, he plays well. So, like, again, and the U.S. Open was at Pebble last year. Like, he seems to like to play in California. So, yeah, I don't mind it at all. It
just really shocks me at those odds. I mean, he's priced like around Lanto Griffin, Sung Kang, Jimmy Walker.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Exactly. So he's really like the last one that I could potentially see myself getting on.
The lowest you're gonna go, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, there's just a bunch of junk where there's some players I could see like top 25-ing, but that's about it.
Absolutely.
Any closing thoughts? That's a pretty quick podcast, but easier week, lower week.
Definitely a little bit of an easier week than the 3M Open, but I think we're going to touch on the PGA. I think next week we're going to do a couple of shows. We'll go more in depth. So, man, it's going to be a major's finally back, man. Feels so good.
Yeah, for sure. We should. So anyone that's watching this right now, just put in the comments like when you would like to see the betting podcast. We'll do probably a live stream. Well, we're going to do a live stream next week. We could probably do Monday, Wednesday. Heck, I could bring Hazy onto the normal Wednesday live stream and just, do a certain DK section, and then we'll just bring in the betting section as well. That could be like an hour-long podcast or I guess, vlogcast on Wednesday. But Monday, you thinking, Hazy, for the live stream? Yeah. And then also, if you guys have questions coming in for the betting podcast on Monday on the live stream, just put it in the comments section. If you guys have a specific question you want answered, me and Hazy are obviously talking to each other. It's more of a conversation than, the Wednesday normal podcast. So if you guys have a specific question you want answered, you can throw like $1 at it and we'll get that answered right away for you.
Or a loony, whatever you want.
Yeah. What about a toonie? That's all I got for my Canadian money knowledge.
Coins, man.
Yeah, exactly.
And the one thing that's obviously our dollar shit, so it's not better in that terms. But man, having like different colors for the bills, game changer.
That's true. A lot quicker.
Man. It's a 20.
You never have to mix up a 10 and a 20. Well, I guess more like a 10 and a 5 or something like that.
Old Abe Lincoln is on the 5, no?
Dude, I'm telling you, I know what I know, and that's one of the things I don't care about.
Or Andrew Jackson's on the 5, one of the two. I'm usually good with these things.
I have to pull it up. I don't have my wallet by me, but.
I'm just gonna look up on Google right now. Really
all right, do it. Yeah.
On. Well, I know George Washington's on the 5. That's easy. First president. Oh, Abe Lincoln, I was right. So Andrew Jackson's on the 10 or the 20, I'm assuming.
So you got history and American currency.
Yeah, exactly.
Geography.
I also want to move to America. That's also a thing. So.
Florida.
Oh, but I was
not right now, but.
Yeah, right now, but it's like, it's just I don't want to see snow anymore. I'm just over it. Alexander Hamilton. I was never gonna guess that. Yeah, I'm over shoveling snow. I'm just completely over it. Your body gets all slow. You're in like slow. Have you ever tried to text in the winter? That's the best way to explain to people going, like you're in slow motion. Everything you're doing is slow motion. People forget how to drive. It takes you a million hours to get anywhere. It's just not enjoyable. We live on the west coast of Florida. They've had one hurricane in the past 60 years. You're fine. You're good. Cost of living is cheap. Fantastic. You
have to worry about some dumbasses here and there in Florida, but that's about it. Dude, my biggest pet peeve is in the winter, in the morning, it's like I shove off my car and everything, get the heater going, and then just the windshield is still foggy, and it just takes forever for that to clear up. I'm like, I'm ready to drive. This is going to take another 20 minutes or 10 minutes. It's just like, come on. So annoying.
It's not just shoveling your driveway. It's like the snowplow comes around my street and then dumps the snow from the road in front of my fucking driveway. So I gotta do my driveway and do the front of my driveway so I can get out. Man, it makes me frustrated right now. It's July 28th, man.
Gotta enjoy the nice weather. That's the nice thing about
is. It flies by though, honestly. It's like it's already August. This year's a little bit different, but still, It usually always flies by.
It does.
The only thing I'm looking forward to, man, Bills football.
If it happens.
I gotta get a podcast on that going too soon.
Yeah, we'll get some fantasy football podcasts going for sure. I'm going to start cranking those out. I'm just kind of waiting to see if it's actually going to take place. It's been kind of some weird news, especially with MLB. Man, how good has the PGA done, though, compared to like NBA and MLB? I mean, straight flex. Bryson's out there just straight flexing on the freaking.
7 positive, 10 positive tests in the over 10,000 they've done?
And like 6 of them were players?
Yeah. And it's like, guys, this is what people like, the quick COVID rant. It's like, okay, Florida Marlins tested positive. They're all asymptomatic. It's like, one, I could have told you that because they're all elite athletes. They're all in elite shape. So them getting corona, they're not even going to really notice it probably, number one. Number two, and the PGA Tour showed this, and maybe they really needed this long of a break, but you cannot not play sports. It's just not going to happen because whether you want to take the vaccine, don't want to take the vaccine, whatever you believe about that, that is the only way they can definitively say everything is safe. And one, people have the right to say, no, I'm not going to take it. So you're not going to be able to get everyone to take it. And two, that's not going to come till 2022 if they actually do it properly in terms of not rushing a product out there that could have some harmful side effects. So what are you going to do? I mean, the football competes with God on Sunday and wins most of the time. Like, they make so much money. It's like they can't not play, and they don't give a shit about going to a football game. I think you can attest to is probably one of the most boringest thing of all time. But man, it's unbelievable to watch on TV.
It is.
All these sports they have to play. So the sooner these commissioners understand that, let's get going here. Like, come on.
The thing about football, which makes it easier, it's like, sure, you test positive, you might have to sit out a game or two. You're resting up your body anyways. It could actually benefit some teams here and there that are a little bit more have good depth on their roster. But MLB, you're pretty much just I like the Marlins are kind of fucked right now, but it's baseball, and golf is better than baseball. We've talked about that a couple of times on here.
It's way easier though. Golf has that luxury of social distance in terms of the players.
Just
and
in
stuff.
general already, yeah.
I would have loved to see Twitter's reaction if John Rahm shook Nicklaus's hand after he won. Because remember, he's like, "I'll do whatever you want." And if Rahm just gave him a nice handshake, Golf Twitter would have blown up 100%.
Golf Twitter is so weird, man. Golf just some days they're looking for stuff to complain about. Some days they're looking for stuff to celebrate. It's very interesting.
Well, we said it was going to be a shorter podcast, but then we got into a COVID rant.
We got into some rants here. You're right. But that's what you got to do. That's what makes podcasts fun. So for any of you guys that are still listening, we have a big week for you next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. We'll catch you on the next one for the PGA Championship. All right, let's have a good weekend as always. Let's keep cashing. Thanks.
Later.